Matthew McConaughey, if you sign up for the newsletter, I had a big piece last night where I responded to his gun control editorial in the Statesman piece by piece. He's in D.C. today. He was in D.C. yesterday. He's in D.C. again today. He had dinner with Joe Manchin last night. Now, he's a native of Uvalde. He moved when he was from Uvalde when he was young. But that's, he knows that area. And he previously has given speeches at March for Life where he called for an all-out ban, and we've played the audio before on the show. I have the video on my Instagram account, and I also linked it in the newsletter last night, where he's called for an absolute all-out ban on semi-automatic rifles. He was very cautious not to include his previous demands for bans on semi-auto rifles in his op-ed. He was very careful about that. But he's all over the internet demanding it. And while I do appreciate that he didn't jump into this conversation with the usual ad hominems that we all have come to just expect from gun control lobbyists, he does not understand the discussion at all. He doesn't. And he didn't, first off, he said that, for instance, in a couple of things, he was talking about the South Carolina church massacre. He said that the killer was able to get his pistol with a completed background check due to legal technicality. It wasn't a legal technicality. It was human error. There was no legal technicality. The people who were dealing with the paperwork messed up and identified the killer as being from the wrong town. I wrote about this exhaustively when it happened. And at the time, FBI Director James Comey, I know, but he released a statement explaining what exactly happened. He was saying that it was this individual who was within the Lexington County court system, and she was trying to get information about what town, Columbia or West Columbia, and she didn't know the geography, and she put the wrong town, and so he was able to purchase a firearm. And here's the thing, it wouldn't have even mattered, even if there had been a waiting period so that they could deal with the discrepancy, because it was a clerical error. That was Comey's exact words. And the FBI didn't even confirm that the sales should not have even been allowed until 2 months after the massacre. He should have been disqualified, because in that state, you only have to be charged with a felony to lose your 2A rights. And that's a whole other issue of discussion. But he was charged with felony possession in 2015. He was arrested on charges of possession of cocaine, methamphetamine, and LSD on February 28th, 2015. That alone disqualified him in South Carolina from legal carry and purchase. And then his father purchased a handgun for him for his 21st birthday. That's a straw purchase. 2 months after he's charged with a felony, his dad buys him a gun. So that means, and that's a felony that's punishable by 10 years in prison and $250,000 fine. So the authorities make a mistake, and we're supposed to get punished for it? There was a very excellent point from a listener named Pam, who said that there are background checks throughout the nation, which is true. She said, when you're 18, there's not a lot to check, especially when schools hide chronic criminal behavior, like in Parkland. Robert Runcie, the superintendent of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, made the determination that they were going to pretend crime had decreased because they were going to not report the crime. That was reaffirmed during the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Commission, the School Safety Commission. And she says that they hide chronic criminal behavior. Loudoun County Schools is a great example of that. They hid the trans sex offender rape attacks on 2 different girls, moved that student to a different school. They hid his felonious criminal activity. They tried to implement this reduction of what they called the school to prison pipeline. Well, you don't reduce it by just not counting their crimes, by, in fact, not actually alerting law enforcement and establishing a record. You're guaranteeing that they're going to do something more serious. The other thing McConaughey said incorrectly is he said that where it concerned the killer in Uvalde, that he purchased 2 rifles, he goes, he obeyed the law because he purchased them legally. The killer didn't obey the law. He murdered 21 people. No one reported his behavior in order to establish a record and adjudicate him ineligible to purchase. Age isn't the problem. The average age of mass shooters is 33.2 years old, Rand Corporation, as well as the Rockefeller Institute on Criminal Justice. The Vegas killer was 64. Virginia Tech was 23. Sutherland Springs, 26. El Paso, 21. Pulse, 29. Thousand Oaks, 28. San Bernardino, 29 and 28. Fort Hood, 51. Pittsburgh, 46. Raising the age does nothing.